So, after 30 years of never leaving the country, guess who finally got a passport? Booyah! Which means I'm ready for some. So yes, I finally got a passport, and I actually got it thinking I would travel next year, but my cousin slid into my DMs and was like, hey, I'm gonna be going to Germany to visit my friend for Thanksgiving. Do you wanna come? I wasn't about to say no. So I bought a plane ticket to Germany and got my very first stamp on my passport. And here's how it went. Now my first flight was going to be to Charlotte because that's where I was going to meet up with my cousin, Kristin. And then together we would fly to Munich. So she was waiting at my gate for me, and then we rushed over to our gate. We went ahead and boarded our 8 to 7 hour flight and headed to Germany. We made it. So we thought, oh yeah. We thought we got seats with leg room. We did not. No, my knees are like on the thing. Oh wells. Now the flight really wasn't as bad as I expected. Neither one of us slept the entire time and pretty much just watched movies, played video games, and hung out the whole time. We've landed. It's freezing. I already have my gloves. I am not prepared for this cold. Off the plane. It's cold. It's very cold. On the bus we go. Woohoo! So after we got off the plane, we went through customs, and then we met up with Kristin's friend, Miguel. We landed around 6 to 7 a.m., so it was pretty early in the morning, and like we said, we had not slept at all. So when we finally got to Miguel's house, Kristin crashed pretty quickly, but I stayed up to talk to this guy. Psst. Hi. No matter where I go, I always find cats. Hi. You look confused. Okay. I have finally awakened. We crashed for a little bit, and now we're gonna take a train. Don't ask me where. Nuremberg. Pick us up. Pick us up. By the way, it is too cold for me. I am not used to this, so as you can see, bundled up for life. So hopefully I don't freeze to death. So we just kind of walked around a little bit and then had our first meal. Did I remember to take any videos of the food? No. And did I also drink a little too much? Absolutely. So I don't really have much footage from that. But before we wanted to get on the train, Miguel had to use the bathroom, and that's where our first problem started. When you're trying to find the bathroom, and you've already asked for help and looked at a map, and still can't find, are you sure you found it? We have no idea where we're going. The people we asked are right there. They're probably like, these idiots. We've gone all floors and still can't find the bathroom.
It's not even Sarah that has to pee this time.
Right. I did my duty at the restaurant. Oh, I think we found it. I hope that's it. Always a good feeling. So after that, we got back on the train, went back home, and finally got some much needed rest. And I woke up the next morning looking beautiful and refreshed. Just kidding, I look like I got hit by 50 buses over and over and over. I was so tired. So to make myself feel better, I got dressed in all pink, even down to the socks, and then we got in the car and headed out. Alright guys, I'm struggling. I'm assuming this is how you dry your hands, but I don't I'm gonna break it. Oh my god, I don't understand. Alright, we're air drying it. So our first stop was one of the concentration camps. Now I didn't really film while we were here, so I'm gonna pull some images from Google. Now one of the first things you see when you first enter the camp is the roll call square. This is where the prisoners were gathered every day and had to stand for a long time regardless of the weather. And if they moved, they got punished. And let me tell you, it's one thing to hear about these stories, but when you are actually standing there and you're bundled up in like gloves, a scarf, a jacket, and imagining that they just had to stand there without all of that, like it just hits you in a completely different way. I was freezing and it was only like low 40s, so I can only imagine how it was for them in like the middle of January when it's even colder. So we went into the museum afterwards and actually spent a good amount of time in there. After that, we checked out the bunker as well as the living quarters for the prisoners before we headed over to the memorials and then finally the crematorium. Normally I don't get the creeps or anything, but there were two locations in the concentration camp that really made me feel like all kinds of ick. So the first one was the bunker, but it wasn't the cells that gave me a weird feeling. It was actually the hallway, because it's just this long, dim, dark hallway that just seems to go on forever. And every time I looked into it, I just felt like, oh, it just made me feel weird. But even worse was the crematorium. So in the crematorium, there are, I think it was 4 different rooms, and each room has a placard that tells you what that room was specifically used for. So the first room, if I remember right, is where the prisoners were told to remove their clothing because they were going to shower in the next room. And the very next room was actually a gas chamber, and that room I did not like. Like, it just felt all kinds of terrible in that room. I was entering the room knowing what it was, whereas in the past they entered the room thinking it was something else and they had no idea what was coming. So I did not stay in that room long, and the next room I went into was where they had the ovens, which is where they cremated everybody, and it was actually other prisoners who had to do the cremation, and that's just like a whole other level of messed up. I'm really having a hard time putting into words how it felt, and it is definitely something I won't forget. So after we left, we went to get a bite to eat real quick. Then we headed over to Munich to see the Christmas markets. I am freezing. So cold. So the very next day is when we went to Bamberg. I think that's how you say it. And let me just say, out of like all the cities we went to, I think this one was my favorite in terms of the look of the buildings. I loved the buildings. They were so cute. I loved the little blue one. I loved the pink one. I just loved it all. So of course, you know, I had to take a million pictures and videos. So pretty. Now first up, we stopped at this cute little cafe because Kristin is kind of a coffee addict and had to get her coffee for the day. At this point in the trip, I had never gotten a warm beverage to drink while we were walking around because I'm not really a big fan of warm drinks. And I always had to stand there with no cold drink, just shivering while they hold something nice and steamy to warm them up. So when I saw this cafe, I was like, you know what? I'm doing it. I am getting a hot chocolate. Now, I think this is a good time to point out that I have been a little suspicious lately that I might have a sensitivity to milk. It only really shows when I have hot chocolate or milk chocolate, but both have had a tendency to make my stomach feel which is why I didn't get hot chocolate up till this point. But I was finally like, you know what? No biggie. I can do it. I can handle it. My stomach's just gonna hurt for a little bit. No problem. So I ordered my hot chocolate and Kristin got her coffee. And look at how cute, right? It tasted good. Little did I know that hot chocolate would destroy me. The sad part is the guy working there even was like, this is cow's milk. Is that okay? And I was like, It's fine. Hand it over. Yeah, I'm just gonna tell you right now, guys, it was not fine. It was not. But it did not kick in right away. So I was good while we walked around Bamberg. Now, while we were there, I did happen to pass a tea shop, and my mom loves tea. So I was like, let me get her some tea. Have no idea what I picked. I just walked in, I saw the word lemon, and I was like, she likes lemon. We're doing it. So I bought her that. You better like this, Mom. Make sure to stay to the end of the video to see her actually try it in a mug that I also bought her in Germany. Now, after we finished up in Bamberg, we went back to Nuremberg to go eat at a restaurant that another cousin I have who lives in Germany recommended to us. So we went, and we also walked through the castle area before we made our way to the restaurant. Still freezing. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is where the hot chocolate attacked, and it attacked with a full force. I went from having the chills to sweating to back to the chills. It was horrible, and I just kept waiting for it to pass, because usually it'll pass. Like, it doesn't usually just keep killing me for like 2 hours straight, but this one did. I may be smiling and looking like I'm having a great time, but inside, my stomach was trying to dump itself out of my body. But because I'm a content creator, even though I was dying and in agonizing pain, I still stopped to take pictures and videos. Anything for the views. So we finally get to the restaurant and get seated pretty quickly, and I make a beeline for that bathroom. Now, I can't really tell you much about the restaurant, but I can sure tell you about their bathroom. That's where I spent pretty much 90% of my time in that restaurant. I would order food, go to the bathroom, come back, take a bite, go to the bathroom. Like, I was living in that bathroom. And worst of all, nothing was coming out. So I was just in there dying, and I was literally like, God, please, just put it out, bring it out, please. Have mercy on me, please. The heavy sighs and the oh my gods that the people next to me had to hear, countless. They were probably like, is she okay? The answer is no, I was not okay. But I will say about 2 hours later, it did finally come out of my system, and I felt great after it was out. But those like 3 hours in between, terrible. So with that being said, I did not drink any more hot chocolate the entire trip after that. So the next day is when we decided to take a little road trip, because a trip to Germany would not be complete without me pretending I'm a Disney princess at one of the castles. So we were gonna head to So we were gonna see the Neuschwanstein castle. Echo. What is the castle in Germany that Disney is inspired after? Neuschwanstein. Neuschwanstein. That's how Google said it's pronounced. Neuschwanstein. You know what? It's a castle in Germany. However, the castle is 3 hours from Miguel's house, and we decided it was probably a better idea to just drive up there and go the next morning than it was to get up at 5 a.m. and drive for 3 hours. So that's what we did. So on the drive up there, we decided to stop at this gorge place, and this is where I had my first interaction with toilets that you have to pay for. Alright guys, so these paid bathrooms, scam. I went to put my coin in, and look. They just took 50 cents. It won't go in. I can't get it out. Rude. So yeah, definitely not a fan of these toilets you have to pay for. I snuck into Kristin, so I was able to still go because hello, I paid anyways, so they still got their money from me. But then we walked up to the gorge. On the way there was this like spot where the Olympics happened or something. I don't know. I stared at this thing for a good minute, and like they even explained to me how it worked, and I just could not wrap my brain around how somebody uses that. It was just the craziest looking thing.
Say hi to the camera.
But anyways, we started our walk to the gorge. It was so cold, but it sounded really cool and I was so excited. And then we get there and see this.
So this is where you're supposed to buy tickets. So much for that. We were lied to. We hiked all the way up here to get this beautiful view of this blue tarp.
Now this is a problem we had many times in Germany. Like online it would say it's open, and then we get there and sometimes it was like permanently closed and the building was empty, or other times it was just closed early. I later did some Googling in the car and turns out it's temporarily closed for remodeling or something, I'm not sure, but it's temporarily closed right now. So yeah, but it was still really pretty and I didn't think it was a waste because we did get to see some of it, so I enjoyed it. The mountains were really pretty and the water was like the prettiest shade of blue, but it was kind of a bust. So I will love to go back sometime in the summer, mind you, when I won't be freezing, and see the gorge. So we left and went to check into our hotel, slept, and then woke up to go to the castle. Now, I'm not gonna lie, when we got there and I saw ice on the ground, it hurt me. Guys, I hate snow. I hate cold weather. I live in Florida for a reason. So when I saw the ice, I was just like, why? I almost slipped a couple times on the road, like it was a mess. But we got our tickets, had a quick little breakfast at this cute little restaurant, and then took the bus up to the castle. Now we did do a tour, but they do not allow you to take pictures or videos inside the castle, so I couldn't get any footage of that, but it was still really cool, and I made sure that I peed in the castle. That's right, I left my mark. I will always be a part of the castle. We did want to go on the bridge, but just like the gorge, the bridge was closed temporarily, so we did not get to go on it. So then it was time to leave the castle because we were starving, and unfortunately, to leave the castle, the path back is an incline to the bus station, and we were about halfway up when this happened.
That's pretty.
Look at him go. The walk of shame, because here we are, halfway done with the trail, and he goes,
My phone's in the bathroom in that castle that's locked.
forgot my phone in the bathroom. So did a quick little U-turn after we walked uphill. Well, at least the view's pretty, so more pictures, and also there's a hot air balloon. Would you look at that? All right, he got his phone. He had to kind of argue for it, but
Throws out his ticket the second he leaves.
not only throws out his ticket, forgets his phone.
Exactly. That's exactly what you do with it.
Back up the hill we go.
To someone that wanted the memory.
I am not made for these inclines.
So finally we made it to the bus and we went back down and had lunch at the same restaurant that we had breakfast at. And let me tell you, I have never felt more bougie than I did sitting in this restaurant, looking to my right and seeing a freaking castle right next to me, okay? I was like, this is the life I meant to live. This is what I was born for, to just look and see a castle. So yeah, it was really nice. That was probably my favorite part of the whole trip because, like I said, anything princessy I'm all about. Now I know what one thing you're probably thinking at this point. Sarah, have you tried any beer while you were in Germany? The answer is yes, but I forgot to film any of the times I had it, except for right here. That's actually not bad compared to some of the other beers I've had. Every other beer I had beforehand I hated, but this beer actually wasn't bad. But I'm not a beer person, so whatever. But yes, I did try. And speaking of castles and things of that sort, we then left to go back to Munich because there was a palace there we wanted to see. But as we had happened many times on our trip so far, the palace was closed when we got there. I mean, look, Germany, if you guys could just like update your hours so that we don't go to these places when they're closed, that'd be great. Because it said it was open till 4 and at 3 the doors were closed, so we could not go inside, which sucks because when I looked at pictures of it later, it looks gorgeous on the inside, so all we could do was walk around on the outside. And this also was probably the coldest day, and we couldn't do it. We had to go. It was so cold. We were only there maybe 10 minutes and we were like, okay, let's leave. So we left, we had dinner, and then we went back home. So today's our last full day. We're just taking it easy. My poor hair has just been having to suffer, and I've been using so much hot water. So it's just like, because I'm so cold. Anyways, it's real fun trying to pick out food when you can't read any of the ingredients or anything. But let me open it up. I'm assuming this says princess, which is why I bought it, but I don't know. It could say like, you're an idiot, but here we go. Doesn't really smell like gingerbread, but let's try a piece. It's okay. It's not gingerbread. Or if it is, it's like a different type, but I don't know what it is. I shouldn't have opened it. You said you can go back upstairs. Yeah. It's a video. So then it was time to fly home, and let me tell you, it was not a good time. But I survived. And we got back, and then it was time to go to my Orlando flight, say bye to Kristin, and go home. Luckily, this flight was very short, and I don't think I've ever been so eager to get back to Florida. And when I got off that plane and felt the sun, I was just like, oh, this is home. So my mom picked me up, we went back home, and then it was time to see the kitties for the first time in a week. So I finally get home after a week away, and these cats, do they miss me? No, it seems like they forgot who I am. They're running away from me. Nyla, Nyla, Sophie, wow, Nyla. Oh, now do you finally remember who I am? What about you? No. Rude. Nyla was definitely running away from me when I first came in the house. She was like, who are you? Who are you? Now she's sniffing at me. She's still unsure. I'm your mother. Ay, ay, ay. So yeah, that was my trip to Germany. It was fun, but if I were to go again, I would go in the summer. I really cannot do the cold weather, guys. And I know it's not that cold. The coldest it got, I think, was like 34, but it's too much. I can't. I'm in Florida for a reason. I can't do it. So yes, I would like to go to Germany again, but in the summer. But yeah, I'm really glad I finally got to do my first international trip, and thank you guys for watching. Where do you think I should go next? Let me know. All right, bye guys. All right. Look at that. So I got her this little mug from the castle, and I'm making her drink her tea out of it. 'Cause, duh.
It's a little on the warm side, but I can really taste the lemon. Tastes like lemon rind, which I happen to like. Not sure about the other flavors.
Thoughts?
I like it. It's good. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit of like a spice, but not really spice. I'm not sure what it is.
I did good. I did